Ever wonder what a company's own words can tell you about its toughest decade? Well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to piece together the story of one manufacturer's journey through crisis and recovery, using nothing but their own annual reports. Think of it as a 10-year stress test told from the inside. So the company we're zooming in on is PT Suparma, a paper manufacturer from Surabaya, Indonesia. They've been in the game since 1976, making everything from industrial packaging to the tissues you have at home. Because they've been around for so long, their journey through some recent economic storms makes for a fascinating story about corporate survival. All right, so here's the game plan. We'll start by getting to know the company back in 2014, when they were having a surprisingly great year. Then we'll see the crisis that hit them hard in 2015. After that, we're going to jump all the way to the present day, to 2023, to see where they are now. And finally, we'll wrap up with the big lessons from this whole 10-year test. Okay, let's set the scene. I want you to picture it. The year is 2014. It was a really tough time for the Indonesian economy as a whole, but for PT Suparma, yeah, it was a totally different story. This slide just lays out the contrast perfectly. On one hand, you've got Indonesia's economy in 2014 facing some serious headwinds. Growth was slowing down, inflation was a painful 8.4%, and the currency was getting weaker. But then look at PT Suparma. They weren't just getting by, they were absolutely thriving, growing net sales by a whopping 11% and just blowing past their own targets. Let's just park on that number for a second. 11%. In a year where the national economy was seriously struggling, putting up growth like this was, well, it was remarkable. So the big question is, how in the world did they pull it off? Well, their 2014 report basically gives us the three-part recipe for their success. First, they showed some serious market power, raising their prices by almost 8% without losing customers. Actually, they also managed to sell 3% more stuff. But that third point is the really crucial one for our story. They made a huge bet on the future, plowing $25 million into a brand new paper machine. It was a year of incredible confidence and strength, which makes what happened next just so much more shocking. Okay, so let's turn the page to 2015. After that triumphant year in 2014, the company was about to sail right into a perfect storm. After a performance that strong, you have to be asking, what on earth went wrong? It wasn't really a single mistake they made. It was this massive external force that was completely out of their hands. It was a currency crisis. And this was the heart of the problem. The Indonesian rupiah just tanked, dropping almost 11% against the US dollar. For a company like Suparma, which had a lot of its costs and debt priced in dollars, this was basically a financial earthquake. All of a sudden, every single dollar-denominated bill cost them 11% more to pay in their own currency. That triggered a massive surge in their finance costs and a huge, huge loss on foreign exchange. And this chart, wow, it just shows you the scale of the damage. The regular finance expenses jumped by nearly 42%. But look at that second bar. Their loss on foreign exchange, it just exploded. It went up by a staggering 736% in 1 year. To really get why that happened, we need to quickly break down what that term actually means. It's basically a currency mismatch trap. See, PT Suparma was earning its money in Indonesian rupiah, but a big chunk of its loans and costs were in US dollars. So when the rupiah's value just fell off a cliff, the amount of rupiah they had to scramble to find to pay back those same US dollars, it went through the roof. It's just a brutal, brutal lesson in currency risk. And here's the bottom line. After a profitable 2014, the company ended 2015 with a comprehensive loss of 43.1 billion rupiah, a total painful reversal of fortune. So the big question is, did they ever recover? All right, let's hit the fast forward button. We're jumping ahead 8 years, from the crisis of 2015 all the way to the company's most recent annual report, to see how they managed the long road back. So we've seen the absolute peak of 2014 and the deep, deep valley of 2015. We are now arriving in 2023, and let me tell you, the business world looks completely different. The threats themselves have evolved. Back then, the problems were kind of close to home, right? A local economic slowdown, a domestic currency crisis. But today, their 2023 report makes it clear the challenges are global, crises that just won't go away, falling prices for paper itself, and all this geopolitical uncertainty. The entire playing field has shifted under their feet. And you can see how they've had to change their whole game plan in response. It's not just about raw sales anymore. The 2023 report is all about this 4P development model: pro-growth, pro-jobs, pro-poor, and pro-environment. This is a huge shift where success isn't just measured by profit. And this isn't just some fluffy corporate talk either. They're putting their money where their mouth is, investing $10 million in a new eco-friendly boiler and really focusing on using recycled and certified materials. So, how does this new reality look on the balance sheet? Well, the snapshot from their latest report shows a bit of a mixed picture. They are definitely profitable, with a comprehensive income of 173 billion rupiah. So, yes, they absolutely survived 2015 and they're stable. But you can also see the trend from 2022 to 2023. Sales, profit, and income are all down. And that reflects those new global pressures we talked about, like falling paper prices, forcing them to navigate a much tougher, more unpredictable market. So after walking through this whole 10-year corporate drama, what are the big takeaways? What can we really learn from PT Suparma's incredible journey? I think it really boils down to three crucial lessons. First, resilience is everything. They took a massive punch in 2015, but they survived, they adapted, and they returned to being a solidly profitable company. Second, you got to play the long game. That huge $25 million investment in that new paper machine back in 2014, that was a bet on the future that gave them the capacity they needed to recover and grow later on. And third, you have to adapt to a changing world. Their modern focus on sustainability isn't just good PR. It's a core business strategy for survival in a world that demands more from companies than just profit. You know, this quote from the board's latest report just perfectly captures their new mindset. After a decade of insane volatility, the focus now is on cooperation and growing together. That's the perspective of a company that has truly been tested by fire. Which leaves us with this final thought. PT Suparma survived a massive currency crisis, and now they're navigating a global slowdown. Their story really shows that the scars from past battles can become the armor for future ones. So the question for any business, really, is how can the resilience you're building today prepare you for the completely unknown crises of tomorrow?